All right, so we're back for another deep dive.
Indeed, we are.
And this time we're diving headfirst into match week 19 of the Premier League.
Oh, yeah, lots to cover this week.
I mean, some of these results really had me raising an eyebrow.
Some real shockers in there for sure.
Definitely so. Let's not waste any time and get right to it. Yeah, we've got a stack of articles here ready to go.
Yeah, sounds good. Fire away.
Okay, well, first things first, all right? Gotta take a look at the table.
The table never lies.
Exactly. So, Liverpool, they're still at the top right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Top of the pile, 8 points clear.
8 points, yeah. Not quite the runaway lead some people were predicting, though, is it?
No, not at all. But, they're still the team to beat, I think it's fair to say.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And right behind them, in second place,
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest. I mean, come on, who predicted that?
It's been a remarkable turnaround, really. They've already got more points than all of last season.
Crazy, right? Talk
Right.
about a glow-up.
Yeah, and Chris Wood, he's been a big part of it. He scored again this week against Everton.
Yeah, I saw that Everton haven't quite found their footing, have they?
Not really. No, it's been a tough start for them. Chris Wood, actually played for Everton a few years back under Dyche. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, a little bit of a revenge story there, maybe.
Oh, I love that. I love that. But speaking of surprises.
Chelsea losing to Ipswich.
Oh, don't even get me started on that one.
Yeah.
Chelsea losing to Ipswich Town.
Big shock. It was Ipswich's first home win in the Premier League since 2002.
2002, that's like ancient history.
It is, yeah. And Liam Delap, he was the star of the show for Ipswich.
Oh, yeah, I heard about him.
Scored a penalty, set up another goal. Really impressive performance.
Didn't Chelsea's manager, Maresca?
Yeah.
Didn't he work with the Lap at Man City?
He did, actually. What's interesting is that Maresca actually predicted back then that Delap would become a future England star.
Wow, so maybe
Maybe a bit of a tactical
yeah.
blind spot there, potentially.
Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, I mean, big win for Ipswich and a real wake-up call for Chelsea.
For sure.
Speaking of wake-up calls, what is going on with Man United?
Oh, boy, 3 losses in a row and all at Old Trafford.
Old Trafford. I mean, that's their fortress. That's supposed to be their fortress.
I know, right? Hasn't happened since 1979.
1979, that's like before I was even born.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was Newcastle who inflicted the latest defeat, 2-0.
2-0. Newcastle are looking really strong this season, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Alexander Isak's been on fire 6 straight games with a goal.
I saw the 8 goals in December alone.
Yep, most in the league.
Okay.
Michael Owen even said that Isak would walk into any Premier League team right now.
High praise indeed. High praise.
It is. And, it's not just Isak. Their whole defense has been rock solid.
Yeah, 4 clean sheets in a row, I think.
That's right. They're like a completely different team from last year.
Night and day, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, but we got to talk about Mo Salah for a minute. I mean, the guy's a goal-scoring machine.
He is unbelievable. Another record-breaking performance this week against West Ham.
Fill us in.
Well, he became the first player ever to have a goal and an assist in 8 different Premier League matches in a single season.
8. Wow.
Yeah. And he also set a new record for assists by a Liverpool player in a calendar year 23.
Unbelievable. He
Yeah.
just keeps raising the bar, doesn't he?
He does. And
Yes.
don't forget, he's also scored 20-plus goals in every season he's been at Liverpool.
Consistently brilliant, puts him in the same conversation as Shearer and Kane, doesn't it?
It does. Those are legendary names.
Yeah.
And Salah's right up there with them.
Incredible. I mean, West Ham, they must be sick of the sight of him.
Yeah, they've conceded the most goals in the league this year.
Oof. Tough times for the Hammers.
Yeah, it has been. But, while Liverpool are flying high and West Ham are struggling, there are a few teams in the middle who are really mixing things up.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like Brighton, for example.
Yeah.
They had that frustrating goalless draw against Brentford despite having like a million shots.
It was one of those days, 24 shots in total, but they just couldn't find the net.
Yeah, I saw that Julio Enciso had like 8 shots in the first half alone.
8 shots. That's
Wow.
crazy. Ties a Premier League record set by Luis Suarez.
Luis Suarez, wow.
Sometimes football can be a cruel game,
It really, can you do everything right and still come up empty?
Exactly. And Brentford, they'll take, and it's only their second away point of the season.
Every point counts, right?
Absolutely. Especially when you're fighting for survival.
Speaking of fighting, Spurs just managed a 2-2 draw against Wolves. It seems like they can't catch and break.
It's been a tough season for them so far. They've conceded the first goal at home for a record 15th time this year.
15 times. Yikes. That's got to be demoralizing.
Yeah, it really puts the pressure on Postcoglu to turn things around.
Definitely. And credit to Wolves. They're unbeaten in 3 games under their new manager, Vitor Pereira.
That's right, and that late equalizer from Jorgen Strand Larsen was huge.
Yeah, coming off the bench to score the crucial goal, that's the kind of impact that can win you games.
Absolutely shows the importance of having depth in your squad.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And what about Fulham and Bournemouth? They're both on 7-game unbeaten runs after drawing 2-2.
It's been an impressive run for both teams. Shows their resilience and consistency.
Yeah, Bournemouth especially coming from behind twice to get the draw. That's a real sign of character.
Definitely, those late goals can be a real morale booster.
Okay, so we've got teams on fire, teams struggling. But what about the teams fighting for their lives down at the bottom of the table?
The relegation battle is heating up, that's for sure. Southampton are in real trouble.
Yeah, 6 points at the halfway point. That's not good.
Not good at all. Historically speaking, teams with that few points rarely escape relegation.
So you're saying it's going to take a miracle for them to stay up?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, stranger things have happened in football.
That's true. That's true. And their new manager, Ivan Juric, hasn't had the best start, has he?
2 losses from 2 games so far.
Yeah, that debut against Crystal Palace was a tough 1-2-1 loss, and there was a bit of controversy about that first goal, wasn't there?
Yeah, Southampton felt their keeper was impeded, but the goal stood. Those kind of decisions can be really frustrating.
Especially when you're fighting for every point.
Mm.
And Palace, only their second home win of the season.
Yeah, shows you how unpredictable this league can be.
Before we get into the relegation dogfight and the upcoming fixtures that could shake up the table, let's take a quick look at Man City, shall we? They've had a bit of a rough patch recently. Did they manage to get back on track?
They did, yeah. But it wasn't exactly a classic City performance, if you know what I mean.
Well, not the free-flowing, attacking football that we're used to seeing from them.
Not really, no. They actually had less possession than Leicester.
Wait, hold on. Leicester had more of the ball than Man City?
They did, yeah. Which is pretty rare for a Guardiola team.
That's wild.
It is, and Leicester actually completed more passes than they have in any other Premier League match this season.
Seriously. So they outpassed City on their own turf.
Yeah, pretty surprising, huh? Definitely. But City still won, right?
They did 2-0.
2-0. Okay, so they found a way to win even when they weren't at their best.
Exactly. And, Haaland ended his little goal drought with a header in the second half.
Ah, so he's back on the score sheet.
He is, yeah. It's only a matter of time, really.
I guess so. Even the best strikers go through those dry spells sometimes.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we start looking ahead to next week, any other interesting stats or stories from match week 19 that caught your eye?
Well, we talked about Liam Delap's performance for Ipswich against Chelsea.
Yeah, 2 goals.
Right. But did you know that was Ipswich's first penalty goal in the Premier League in over 23 years?
23 years. Wow, that's a long time.
It is, and get this, the last player to score a penalty for Ipswich in the Premier League was Marcus Stewart.
Okay.
Also against Chelsea back in 2001.
No way, really. So history repeated itself.
It did, yeah. Kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is. And what about Chelsea? Has it been that long since they failed to score in 2 consecutive away games? It has, yeah. You have to go back to February 2019 when Sarri was in charge.
Wow. So it seems like every week there's a new record being set or some historical parallel being drawn.
That's the beauty of the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much history and so many stories.
Definitely. And, we were talking about Nottingham Forest's incredible turnaround earlier.
Yeah.
But it gets even better. Their win against Everton was actually their first league victory at Goodison Park since 1999.
Wow. That's a long time coming.
It is. And their 5-game winning streak is their longest in the Premier League since 1995.
And they also beat Everton during that run.
So it's like they're rewriting the history books.
They are, yeah. It's amazing what a difference a year makes.
Amazing. And we can't forget about Crystal Palace's win against Southampton, only their second home victory of the season.
Right. So we've got teams at the top and bottom of the table struggling on their home turf. What does that tell you about this season?
That anything can happen, I guess.
Exactly. The Premier League is so unpredictable, you just never know what's going to happen next.
And that's what keeps us coming back for more, right? The drama, the passion, the possibility that any team on any given day can pull off something special.
Precisely. And with the January transfer window just around the corner, things could get even more interesting.
Oh, yeah. The transfer window always throws a spanner in the works. What potential moves are you keeping an eye on?
Well, there are rumors that Manchester United are looking to bolster their midfield, maybe with a big money signing.
interesting. If they can strengthen that area of the pitch, they could be a real threat in the second half of the season.
I could, for sure. And then you've got teams battling relegation who might need to make some moves to boost their survival hopes.
Yeah, Southampton, for example, they desperately need to tighten up their defense.
They do. And with a new manager in place, they might be more active in the transfer market than some people expect.
January signings can be a bit of a gamble, though, can't they?
They can, yeah, but sometimes a well-timed signing can be the difference between staying up and going down.
True, true. Okay, so you mentioned Southampton's historically low points total earlier, and it got me thinking.
Yeah.
How do they compare to other teams who've been in similar situations? Like, have many teams managed to escape relegation from this kind of position?
Not many. No. It's a tough ask, to be honest.
So you're saying it's going to take a monumental effort for them to turn things around?
It would be a remarkable escape. But, in football, as we've seen time and again, anything is possible.
Never say never, right? Okay, so let's talk about those upcoming fixtures that could really shake things up.
Well, the first week of January features a massive clash at the top of the table.
Yeah.
Liverpool versus Manchester United.
Oh, wow, that's going to be huge.
It is, yeah. And given United's recent form, you'd have to say Liverpool are the favorites.
Yeah, on paper for sure, but form goes out the window when these two rivals meet.
Exactly. Anything can happen in a game like this.
Imagine the scenes if United managed to end Liverpool's unbeaten run.
It would be a massive upset, that's for sure.
Okay, and what about Newcastle? They've got a tough doubleheader coming up against Tottenham and then Wolves.
Two tough games. Yeah, especially one against Wolves.
Yeah, both teams are looking to solidify their positions in the table.
Exactly. Every match matters in the Premier League, whether you're fighting for the title or battling relegation.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so we've got title contenders, clashing relegation-threatened teams fighting for survival, and mid-table teams jostling for position.
That's the Premier League for you. Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment, but amidst all this chaos, is there anything in particular that stood out to you from this match week? Anything our listeners should really be thinking about?
For me, it's the resurgence of Nottingham Forest. Their transformation has been incredible, and it just shows you that with the right leadership and a bit of belief, anything is possible.
It's a real underdog story, isn't it? Do you think it's a sign that the balance of power is shifting in the Premier League?
It's too early to say for sure, but there are definitely signs that the traditional powerhouses are being challenged. The gap is closing, and that's great for the league.
More competition, more excitement. Right. And what about individual performances? Any players who really caught your eye this week?
Well, aside from the usual suspects like Salah and Isak, I was really impressed with Liam Delap's performance for Ipswich.
Yeah, he was fantastic. 2 goals against Chelsea.
Exactly. He's a young player with a lot of potential, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Always exciting to see young talent coming through. And speaking of exciting young players,
Yeah.
I'm curious about Aston Villa. They've been quietly consistent this season, sitting comfortably in mid-table. Do you think they have the potential to push for a European spot?
They've been a bit of a surprise package, haven't they? Playing some really good football under Unai Emery.
They have, and if they can add a few more players in January,
They could definitely challenge for a top 6 finish.
that would be a fantastic achievement for a club that's been yo-yoing between the Premier League and the Championship in recent years.
It would, and it just shows you that with the right manager and a bit of stability, anything is possible.
Okay, so before we wrap up, let's take a quick look at the upcoming fixtures. What matches should our listener be marking on their calendars?
Well, we've already mentioned the Liverpool-Manchester United game, but there are a few other interesting ones. Arsenal, who are still very much in the title race, face a tricky test against a resurgent Leicester City.
Leicester are always a tough opponent, especially at home.
They are, and then you've got the London derby between Chelsea and Tottenham.
Ooh, that's always a fiery encounter.
It is. And with both teams under pressure, it should be a really intense match.
And what about West Ham? They're in desperate need of a win, but they're up against a solid Brighton side.
Yeah, Brighton have been defensively sound this season, but they've struggled to score goals at times.
So West Ham might fancy their chances.
They might, but Brighton are no pushovers.
Okay, so we've got title contenders, relegation battles, and mid-table clashes.
Pretty much sums up the Premier League, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So much to look forward to. But before we let you go, what's the one takeaway our listeners should be pondering as we head into the new year?
For me, it's the reminder that the Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint. We're only halfway through the season, and there are still so many twists and turns to come.
Well said. Well said. Anything can happen between now and May.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so exciting.
It really is anyone's game at this point,
Oh,
though.
totally. I mean, the January transfer window could throw everything up in the air again.
Yeah, you're right. Who knows what crazy deals might happen and how it'll shake things up.
Exactly. We might see some big names moving, some surprise signings.
Oh, definitely. It's always a wild ride, that January transfer window.
It is for sure. So yeah, as we wrap up this deep dive into Match Week 19,
Yeah.
what's the one thing our listeners should be taking away from all of this?
That's a good question. What should they be thinking about as we head into the new year?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that this Premier League season is wide open, like we were saying. There's no clear favorite. Anyone can beat anyone on their day.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Exactly. For fans, it's brilliant.
Definitely, we've seen upsets, comebacks, moments of brilliance. It's been a roller coaster.
And it's only going to get more intense from here on out.
Oh, absolutely. The pressure's on for everyone now.
Stakes are higher. Every match matters even more.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm already looking forward to the next round of fixtures.
Me too.
Yeah.
This deep dive has got me pumped for what's to come.
Same here. So, to our listener, keep those articles coming, keep those questions flowing.
And we'll be back soon to dive into another thrilling chapter of this Premier League season.
Can't wait until next time.